Hello everybody and welcome to lyranara.com. Today we've put together another great presentation for you, and the subject of today's presentation is going to be bioresonance and color therapy. As we all know, everything is vibration, everything is frequency, and colors are nothing else than vibrations. In this presentation, we're going to explain to you in depth all the correlations between colors, therefore, the vibrations they create in your body, how they correlate to your moods, to your organs, and much, much more. So settle down, relax, and enjoy great information as always. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us as www.lyranara.com. So let's first go over some of the stress factors and symptoms that cause disbalances in your body. Some of them are electrosmog, geopathic stress, synthetic chemicals in your environment, like in the air, in the water, in the soil, food, clothes, in your home, in your office, medications that you take. Then, of course, psychosocial stress factors, noisy environments, sleep deprivation, burnt out syndrome, sedentary lifestyle, climate and extreme weather phenomena, weak detoxification capabilities, infections, microbiological burdens, deficiency in nutrients, vital minerals and vitamins, allergies and food intolerances, toxin burdens, generally weak immune system, and chronic diseases and morbidity. And here you can see that all your meridians are active at different times of the day. All the meridians correlate to certain colors. So for example, between 1 and 3 p.m. your small intestine is active, which corresponds to this purple color. Then between 3 and 5 it's the bladder, 5 and 7 p.m. the kidney meridian, 7 to 9 pericardium meridian, and so on and so on. So here you can see very nicely how all the meridians are active at different times of the day, and these frequencies of the meridians correspond to certain colors. And these relations can be even found in your teeth. Here you have a graph showing how not only your meridians and your organs correlate to certain colors, but they also correlate to certain teeth. For example, the 23 number tooth corresponds to the liver gallbladder meridian, and the color green, 21 and 22, to the kidney and bladder meridian, and then orangey color, and so forth and so on. If you want to look in detail, please pause the presentation at this point. Much research has been conducted over the years on this subject. One of the pioneers of color therapy was Mr. DINSHAH from India. He lived between 1873 and 1966, so you can see this research goes back a long way. And he made this wonderful chart where he attributed certain colors to organs in your body. For example, green is a pituitary stimulant, a disinfectant, purification, antiseptic, and so on. Blue is a diaphoretic, anodyne and vitality builder, and you can go on and on here and read through all the corresponding conditions in your body. And he made this wonderful chart correlating all of the colors to these conditions. And he not only correlated everything to certain organs, but he even correlated them to certain materials, minerals, and other ingredients of our planet. For example, green is correlated in his chart to barium, chloride, etc., nitrogen. turquoise to chromium, fluoride, mercury, nickel, blue, for example, calcium, indium, and oxygen, indigo, bismuth, and so forth and so on. And here on the left side, you can see again the correlation in his star to, or SPECTRO-CHROM, as he called it, of the chemical elements to your attuned color wave. So as we've established, light interacts with your whole human body through light, through your eye, through the thalamus, your visual cortex, and your elementary eyesight. You can see the effects in your brainstem, like eye fixation, balance, coordination, breathing, blood circulation, and digestion. In your cerebral cortex, visual, auditive, tactile, and perception. In your limbic system, that regulates the sense of smell, sexual behavior, your learning capability, and your emotional memory. In your hypothalamus, that regulates the biological rhythms, vegetative system, hormonal control, sleeping patterns, pain, and sexual behavior again. And in your pineal gland, that regulates the hypophyse, the thyroid, the adrenal gland, the ovaries, the uterus, and the testicles. And we've all heard about the chakras, these contact points of your body, and they all correspond and connect to your nervous system. You have a nice graph showing the connection between the chakras and the nervous system. And those are literally energy channels, and they can be influenced by colors again, by vibrations. And in the next slide, we're going to have a look at all the colors that correlate to your chakra. And here you can see all the colors that correlate to your main chakras, starting with your root chakra, that is correlating to the and reacting to the color red. The sacrum with orange, solar plexus is yellow, your heart chakra responds to green, your throat chakra is represented by turquoise, and third eye by blue, and your crown chakra finally by violet or purple. Here you have two nice graphs showing you the relationship between colors and your organs, and again to your chakras. On the left side, you see the main issues, the glands and the related functions together with the color that correspond to them. And on the right hand side, you have a more explicit picture of all the organs and their, in the human body, the location and how they connect to your nervous system. And here we have another picture depicting the colors and how they are connected to your parts of your body and in your chakras, and they're also the correlation to your age. For example, for elderly, you have the pineal cortex and upper brain and the right eye. For adults, the pituitary, left eye, ears, nose, the nervous system, and the lower brain. Father is represented by the thyroid, bronchi, throat, lungs, and digestive tract. The child is correlated to the thymus, the heart, blood, parasympathetic system, and cardiovascular system. The mother through your pancreas, stomach, liver, gallbladder, and nervous system. A small child through the reproductive organs and gonads, and a baby through adrenals, spine, and kidneys. And you can see all the locations of these organs on the left side, and the representation by which color. But of course, there isn't only a relationship between your organs and colors, as one of the pioneers in this field, Dr. Max LUESCHER, found out. There is also a correlation between psychology and colors, and he developed the so-called LUESCHER cube, a system where you can find out about the psychology types of persons and through colors, and represent them through colors. This is an example showing 4 single structures, 1, 2, 3, 4, put together according to their functions, plus, 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 minus, and minus, minus. And it's very similar to how atoms form molecules. One example here, you have plus, plus, 1, which means psychologically wise that this person wants to be comfortable and at peace. A plus, plus, 2 would be that this person wants to be competent and self-directed. A plus, plus, 3 wants to cause success. A plus, plus, 4 is always open for the new. Minus, minus, 3 feels pushed, overburdened, or exhausted and depressed. A minus, minus, 1 doesn't want to be distracted or disturbed. Minus, minus, 4 sticks stubbornly to intention and does not allow for insecurity. And the minus, minus, 2 is flexible and avoids obstacles. You can make many combinations in the system of the numbers and the pluses and minuses, and it allows you to describe the psychology of a person pretty neatly. And correlated, of course, also again to color. In fact, Max LUESCHER developed certain psychotypes, he called them, that correspond to certain colors. So here we have a chart showing you the thinking type, your modus operandi, logic categories, elementary symbols, psychic basic tendencies, and the typology of this personality. And let's go through them. There are 4 basic types. The yellow thinking type, he is receptive. His modus operandi is absorption of information. He looks for opportunities. His elementary symbol is air. His basic tendency is awareness. And basic yellow thinking types are in the zodiac Gemini, Aquarius, and Libras. And the preferred way of thinking is receptive thinking. The blue personality type is best described by reflexive thinking. He wants to understand. He searches for unity. His elementary symbol is water, therefore blue. His basic psychic tendency is to feel. And the blue thinking type water personalities in the zodiac are Pisces, Scorpions, and Cancers. And their preferred way of thinking is called reflexive thinking. The green type is more objective. He likes order. His logic is based on necessities. His elementary symbol is the earth, and his basic tendency is to structure everything. The green thinking types in the zodiac are Tauruses, Capricorns, and Virgos. And their preferred way of thinking in this model is called objective thinking. And then finally we have the red type, who is provocative, likes to execute. His logic is based on pluralism. His elementary symbol is fire, therefore the color red. His basic psychic tendency is will. And red thinking types in the zodiac are Ariuses, Leos, and Sagittariuses. Their preferred way of thinking is called provocative thinking. So let's look a little bit more in depth at Max LUESCHER and his psychotype description according to the 4 basic types. The yellow type again is described best by receptivity, and here receptivity means receptiveness. Receptive thinking means this personality wants to observe, look in wonder, be attentive and receptive to what's happening, and receptive thinking predates experience and logic structuring. Yellow type personalities always ask why. They want to explore themselves, the world, and they want to find out what is happening. The evaluation of this type is that they express themselves they want to experience new things, loves change and expects improvement from it. If overdone, there can be a feeling of inner freedom and independence that is over-accentuated, and it can lead to illusory feeling of being free, like in a hallucination. Then we have the blue type, which is characterized by reflection. Reflection here means to lead back. This personality type wants to link what they realize back to its previous experiences and knowledge. It connects the new realizations with existing ones, thinks about the connections, the common and the essential, and wants to understand how the puzzle pieces fit together. These types are normally calm, sensitive, and geared towards satisfaction. If overdone, the satisfaction becomes fake and shows weakness to confrontation, and they don't like to have situations of disagreement, and to see them as challenges and to accept them for that. They see it as an affront. Then we have the green type, which is described by objectivity. Here, this equals strict objectivity. Objective thinking draws the line between one object and the other. It defines it, what is part of it, and what not. It searches for a system in which to integrate as much as possible, as well as possible. This personality type puts effort into checking the facts, comparing them to each other, analyzing them, and defining them to make logic conclusions. This type also wants to know better, wants precise knowledge, and wants to achieve security and competence through this precise knowledge. This personality type has a need for safety, constancy, and stability. If overdone, it can lead to high-handed arrogance and to a retribution and prestige-demanding personality. And then, last but not least, we have the red type that is described by provocation, which here means challenging. This personality type wants to change and improve, wants to show new ways that lead to better results. They are shaped by strong own will, and they always, the question that describes them best is they always ask, why not differently? Why not better? They want to provoke new ways of seeing things, find new aspects, overcome old ways of thinking, and they want to produce something that creates a new way of thinking and looking at the situation. So they are actively conquering these types, decisive, ruling, and shaped by belief in oneself, in themselves. If overdone, it can lead to overactivity and aggression and provocation when they feel discriminated. And Max Lüscher went even farther and described some positive and negative traits of each color type or each personality type that is connected to a basic color. For example, for the yellow type, positive is that he thinks the world needs to be experienced with all senses to be understood. Real experiences come from what you see and experience for this type of personality, and they think that you can trust sensations of your senses. Then a negative part about it is, according to Max Lüscher, that they are seen as superficial, not logical, as their thinking is based on feelings they can't be proven or explained rationally. They are less described by organized thinking, therefore they are often seen as superficial. And they are playful and childlike, and their ideas are often mental games without practical use or help for anybody. The blue personality type thinks of himself as a quiet, benevolent being who weighs things against each other and tries to evaluate them from a higher and fair perspective. The negative traits of this personality type is that they are often seen as a dreamer, an idealist, who only develop nice theories instead of keeping with the real facts. They often come to no decisions and practical actions as they take everything too seriously, question too much, and they are lost in their thoughtfulness. Then we have the green personality type. They think of themselves as logical, critical, and factual. Their opinions are clearly structured and they can prove everything rationally. To evaluate something critically and objectively is for them the only valid way. That brings also some negative characteristics with it. They are often seen as sterile talkers, pedantic persons that organize everything in boxes and try to explain everything logically, but in doing so, they miss what is going on in the real world. And then, last but not least again, we have the red personality type. They think of their ideas and intentions as urgently needed and of general importance. They are pushing for these ideas and they want to fulfill their visions. They are often seen, though, as romancers that do not consider experiences and risks while following their visions. They make big plans and want to push them with force. They build on uncertain speculations and do not take into account that tomorrow everything might be different maybe, and therefore they decide and act prematurely often and are impatient and aggressive. Max Lüscher went even further with his showing the connection between colors and your metabolism. He made it in the form of this cube, where you can see the dynamic balancing of life, the four basic color types, and how yellow and blue goes more into the alkaline environment. The red and green personality type, they go more into acidic. The yellow and red are more catabolic, and blue and green are more anabolic. And for example, the yellow type is more variable receptive. They want inner freedom. The red type is variably directive. They are described and characterized by self-confidence. The green type is characterized by self-respect and is constantly directive. And the blue type has inner connectedness and is constantly receptive. They are also connected to chemical elements, electrons, and the flow of them. So let's have a little bit of a more in-depth look at the significances of the colors. First, let's look at what a color, how it corresponds to your organs. So ruby red in anatomy corresponds to your sacrum and coccyx. The most important spots are the hip bone, the buttocks, the rectum and anus. Second most important spots are stomach, heart and head. Problem manifestations, if you have an imbalance in your ruby red, might be a death wish, dullness, a shock or survival uncertainty. And the target is here when you do color therapy to reestablish the life will, stability, feeling of rooting and awareness. Red in your anatomy is at lumbar 3, lumbar 4 and lumbar 5. The most important spots in your body are the genitals, the uterus, the bladder, the knee, the sciatica, prostate, your back, your muscles, and lower leg, ankle and feet. The second most important spots are the stomach and your neck. If you have an imbalance here, the problem can manifest through problems in your sexuality, asexuality, even primitive anger, danger, feeling of danger, and deprivation. The target here, when we balance with red, is to regain your feeling of usefulness in life, your euphoria, and your sexual enjoyment. Red-orange corresponds in your anatomy to lumbar 1 and lumbar 2. The most important organs are colon, appendix, abdomen, and your thigh. Second most important spot is your shoulders and your trapezoid muscles. If you have an imbalance here, the problem manifests itself through the feeling of guilt, shame, inhibition, and exaggerated responsibility. And the target here is to re-establish spontaneity, creativity, and your play capability. Orange is represented by thoracic vertebra 10, 11, and 12. The most important organs here are the kidneys, the ureter, small intestine, and the lymphatic system. second most important organs in your body correlated to this color are the throat and the heart. Problems, imbalances here can be detected by ego distortions, feeling of inferiority and passivity, and treatment here would have the target of re-establishing your self-concept, your self-assertion, self-love, and your self-esteem. Yellow in your anatomy, it can be connected to the thoracic vertebra 6, 7, 8, and 9. The most important organs are stomach, pancreas, duodenum, spleen, adrenal and gland, and paraganglia. The second most important organs connected to yellow are the thighs, the hands, the arms, and the neck. If you have an imbalance here, it might be manifesting itself through corrupt power, helplessness, panic, and resentment. And here the target is in the balancing procedure to gain flexibility, autonomy, and optimism again. Yellow-green correlates to the thoracic vertebra 4 and 5. The organs they are connected to yellow, the color yellow-green, the gallbladder, the liver, the solar plexus, and your blood. Second most important organs are the feet and the skull. If you have imbalances here, you might have unhealthy relationships, feeling of jealousy, unfaithfulness, and envy. And the target here in the treatment is to recreate compatibility, acceptance of love, and feeling of unity with others. Green corresponds to the thoracic vertebrae 2 and 3, and to the organs, the heart, coronary arteries, the arteries of the lungs, bronchi, and the breast. The second most important organs and spots are the thoracic vertebra 3 and the sacrum. Problem might manifest itself through loss of love, loneliness, loss, destructive affection, or mourning, and the target here is to reestablish inspiration, adequate affection, and fulfilled love needs. Turquoise corresponds to your neck vertebrae 6 and 7 and to your thoracic vertebra 1. The organs are neck and the neck muscles, the shoulders, the fingers, the tonsils, thyroids, the bursa, esophagus, and the windpipe, and then also the lower arms, hand, and wrist. Problem manifestation might be the feeling of a lone wolf, careless to yourself, impersonal, and extremely intellectual. Target is here to re-establish the harmony and confluence of the elements and your feeling of self-perception. The color blue corresponds to neck vertebrae 3, 4, and 5, and in your organs to the cheeks, the auricle, face bones, teeth, nose, lips, mouth, ear trumpet, and the voice cords, and also to the throat and neck lymph nodes. The problem manifestation might be introversion, dependency, and restraint. And by balancing out this color, we want to re-establish expressiveness, exchange, and the feeling of independence. The color indigo connects to your neck vertebrae 1 and 2, and to the hypophyse, brain, middle ear, the inner ear, the sinuses, mastoid, tongue, and your forehead, but also to the eyes, optic nerve, and auditory nerve. Problem manifestation or imbalance in this color might manifest itself through confusion, inner conflict, and feeling that I need to overcome something. And the balancing here wants to reestablish clarity, insight, and inner peace. Violet connects to your skull. The most important spots are the hypothalamus and licocerebrospinalis. The second most important is the sacrum. Problem manifestation might be distrust, worries, and spiritual confusion. And by balancing out this color, we want to regain trust. The patient regains trust has a clearer vision and a higher experience again. Next, we will go through some further significations and interpretations of the color. Ruby red is the color of life instinct, of your will, of survival. Any form of instability in life, shock, suicidal thoughts, dread, the feeling of not being grounded and rooted, insecurity and alienation, they're all connected to ruby red. For example, if you feel beside yourself, if you have an emotional and sensory numbness, loss of the meaning of life, this all connects to ruby red. And the color may also give access to the life period from fetus until 1 year old. And color ruby red corresponds to a frequency of 13 Hz. Next up is the color red. It's the color of passion. Everything creates passion, complacency. If you are in an active conflict, red-like subjects, everything related to sexuality and its variety, aggression. And if you don't know where to go, what to do, what do you care, this all might be can be led back to the color red or imbalance in the color red. The color may access also the time period age 2 to 5 years old, and the frequency range is 12 Hz. Red-orange is the color of freedom. So if you feel inhibited, cramped, responsible for everything and everybody, like you are God, you feel guilty for everything and everybody, you are very perfectionist, you have the feeling that you bear the suffering of this world, you have this burden feel in general, are uncreative, that all might be connected to an imbalance in your red-orange. The color may also access the time period between 6 and 11 years old, and its frequency is 11.5 Hz. Orange is the color of self-worth. So if you have hardly to no self-esteem, if you're asking yourself, who am I, I'm to blame, you have feelings of inadequacy, inferiority, no confidence, no identity, no self-respect, you are not able to stand up for yourself, you feel worthless and no one likes you, the way the self-doubt and self-hatred and shame, this all might connect to an imbalance in your orange. The color also accesses the age between 12 and 19 years old, and it has a frequency of 11 Hz. Yellow is the color of hope. So if you feel that the whole victim subject and as a result angry, you feel small and helpless, you feel out of control, you have a sense of powerlessness, you feel being trapped, overwhelmed, you play dead instead of defending yourself, you panic, you are enraged and you grudge. This correlates to this imbalance in the yellow. And the color may also access the time period 20 to 25 years old, and it has a frequency of 10 Hz. Yellow-green is the color of peace. So if you feel restrained, you have a feeling of emptiness, you cannot cry or receive love or give love, you are constantly sad, you have a sense of loss, nobody loves you, feelings of loneliness, hurt, and other negative feelings like this, then there is an imbalance in your yellow-green, and it can also give access to future issues. Its frequency is 9.5 Hz. Green is the color of love. So if you feel restrained, you have a feeling of emptiness, you cannot cry or receive love or give love, you are constantly sad, you have sense of loss, that nobody loves you, you have feelings of loneliness and being hurt. That correlates to green. It can also give access to current issues, and its frequency is 9 Hz. So turquoise is the color of wholeness. Missing, if you have a missing or deficient pronounced body sensation, you cannot get to your feelings, you have no feelings, you have repressed material that you don't remember, you feel oppressed, and life wears heavy on you, then there might be an imbalance in your CHAKRAS color field. The color can give access also to current issues, and its frequency range is 7.8 Hz. Blue is the color of pleasure. So if you feel that like before you say something, you rather bite your tongue off, you have feelings and thoughts of an oppressor, you're afraid to speak your mind, you have word-finding disorder, you're shy, you're verbal erotic, you're verbal misuser, you have passive-aggressive behavior and conflicting intentions. That is all correlated to the color blue. It can also give access to current issues, and its frequency is 7 Hz. Indigo is the color of understanding. So if you feel confused, you have irrational thoughts, kinky thinking, rationalized feelings, you are top-heavy, you're worried about anything and everything, you're brooding and you feel overwhelmed, that is all correlated to the color indigo. It can also give access to all times of life, and its frequency is 6 Hz. Violet or purple is the color of faith and trust. So if you have a feeling of distrust, suspiciousness, you have conflict with your own spirituality, your inability to let go, you have paranoid behavior, ingratitude, you're hyperactive, you're nervous, you're irritable, you're arrogant, you have a decreased ability of inspecting yourself. It all correlates to imbalances here. It also can access all times of life, and its frequency is 5 Hz. So let's look at some balancing effects that colors can have on you. Magenta, for example, has a balancing effect on your reproductive organs, and also like in your excessive sexual behavior, in your aura deformations and negative energy fields. It has a balancing effect also on the circulatory and blood pressure system, and also on your pulse. It has also a balancing effect in halting menstruation. Scarlet also has a balancing effect in halting menstruation, but also in adrenal insufficiencies, on your circulatory blood pressure regulation system, in lassitude and weariness, on weary arteries. It stimulates them on the blood vessels in general and on your veins. Purple has a balancing effect on your menstrual cycle, on your sexual activity, in strong anxiety and stress situations, also for sleep disorders, on your adrenal overactivity, in overactive and exhausted bodies in general. For hypertension, it is very good. Compensatory effects also like for headaches, pain, pressure, and elevated tension of the arteries, and a balancing effect in flaccid veins as well. Red stimulates the formation of erythrocytes and hemoglobin. It stimulates the blood circulation in general. Its excitations stimulating the sensory nervous system. Your eye, touch, taste, hearing, smell, antidote after radiological invasion, and it also stimulates the detoxification through the skin. Orange helps with prevention of osteoporosis. It stimulates tissue regeneration and tissue degradation, or stop tissue degradation, better said. It's excitation period for menstrual problems. It suggests relaxation and is therefore antispasmodic. It suggests so it calms gastric disorders and vomiting sensations. It excites the pulsation without blood pressure changes. It stimulates the gastric secretion. It stimulates the thyroid activity and parathyroid activity, and also removal of pus and lactation. Yellow helps with defecation problems. It excites the entire digestive system by increasing the secretion. It stimulates detoxification through the blood and the lymph. It stimulates the lymphatic flow. It excites the nervous system, sensory and motoric nervous system. It's also stimulation and paralysis of the nerves and muscles. And it can be alternated with red, whereby you first would get a yellow stimulation and then the red. Stimulation also, like of the removal of parasites and toxins from the system, is achieved through yellow. Next we have yellow-green. Yellow-green stimulates the elimination of tumors, and also in conjunction with the color indigo. Returning of the metabolism in chronic diseases, stimulation of the cholesterol lowering system. It stimulates digestion and thus absorption of minerals. It stimulates also cell detoxification through the skin and repair of cells and of brain activity. Stimulates also the thymus gland, bone metabolism in the direction of osteoblast, stimulates the mucus secretion in bronchitis, and the catalysis of thrombi. So green suggests and stabilizes both acute and chronic stimulations of excretion in food intoxication, antiseptic and disinfectant in general, the color green. So it has a very good effect on infections. It excites also the hypophyse activity. It has a balancing effect on your brain, and it stimulates also the catalysis of microorganisms. Next up is turquoise. Turquoise can stimulate your sleep activity. It helps your metabolism return or retune itself in acute diseases. It has a convalescence of the diseases. It has a balancing effect also like on cerebral activity. It excites the scar-free wound healing, or stimulates it. Also collagen synthesis with skin stabilization, balancing effect also on mild forms of fever, in infrared invasion to the skin like burning. It helps, and also like in tension and pain in the head. Blue has a balancing effect on asthma, allergies, might they be acute or chronic. It has a balancing effect on inflammations, also acute and chronic ones, stimulation of oxidation in your tissue and blood. It has an antibiotic effect, therefore again good for infections, whether acute or chronic. A balancing effect on heart pruritus, acute or chronic. Stimulation of the pineal gland can be achieved through blue. A balancing effect in hyperactivity and insomnia, especially in children. A balancing effect at medium fever and inflammation for scrapes, and also like on your muscular tension and sleep disturbance. Indigo balances your overactivity and pain. Also helps with bleeding. It excites the creation of phagocytes. It helps with the termination of the lactation cycle. It has a balancing effect in swelling, like tumors and of all kinds. For pain, effect also like on thyroid overactivity. It balances it. Also skin folds. And it has a balancing effect also on excretion. And last but not least, we have violet or purple. Violet or purple has a balancing effect on the nervous system overactivity and overactivity of your muscles. A very great effect on pain. The putrefaction in the intestine. Balancing effect in overactivity of the pancreas and lymph stimulation. and the creation of leukocytes on the spleen, and also like a balancing effect in fever conditions. So there we have it. I hope that you were able to take some great insights with you and gain something out of this presentation. Thank you very much for your attention as always. We are open and welcome your questions. We like to hear from you, discuss with you further what you would like to know. We have, as always, great products that for color therapy that can help you balance your deficiencies, psychological, organ-related, whatever it might be. Visit us at www.laranara.com, or you can also call us toll-free from the US and Canada under 1-888-773-3196. As always, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Share and like if you've enjoyed this presentation, and hope to hear from you next time. Thank you very much.